We are finally back with Transformers, and man, this issue is bodacious. So this picks up on a flashback from millions of years ago when the Ark was in the Earth's orbit, and we see Skyward pick up Beachcomber and throw him out the Ark, which has a big hole, probably how the cons were able to board the Ark in the first place. But we see Beachcomber get thrown out of the ship, and he lands on the moon. We find out Beachcomber was on the moon for the entire time the Autobots crashed on Earth, and that they were in stasis for millions of years. So literally you just have Beachcomber just sitting on the moon, staring at the Earth for millions of years, which is crazy, man. And eventually when Apollo 11 landed on the moon, Beachcomber hitched a ride to Earth by, grabbing onto the ship, which is how you see Beachcomber back on Earth. And we see this nice little wholesome page of Beachcomber just enjoying nature and being happy, which is a trait of Beachcomber, being this kind of peacekeeper, not really wanting to fight in any sort of war and enjoying nature. And we see that here, but then we see him find the Ark, which he goes inside and turns on Teletran 1, and Teletran 1 asks to begin repairs, which Beachcomber didn't do. And when Spike asks him why he didn't, he explains basically that as long as the Autobots and Decepticons are offline, Earth could be spared from the violence, and that the Autobots and Decepticons could sleep forever, which could hold peace. And when Spike asks Beachcomber if he's been alone since then, he responds with not alone, as we see some squirrels and wildlife. And again, this is really cool to see someone like Beachcomber get put into the limelight here and really shine his core characteristics of being a pacifist who loves nature, wildlife. So again, hats off to Daniel Warren Johnson, but we do find out that Astrotrain is now tied up and he can't really move, which is kind of crazy considering how big Astrotrain is here. But it's cool that Beachcomber was able to use like leftover junk and rusted chains to hold him down. But what's even more crazy is Astrotrain is just threatening Beachcomber, it's like, let me go or else I'm gonna kill you, all that. And Beachcomber just offers him Energon. Like, bro, Beachcomber, calm down, man. You don't want Astrotrain breaking out and just beating the living crap out of you, dude. But Beachcomber gets caught up to speed as to why Astrotrain had Spike and what the Decepticons were planning to do, which is for Shockwave to basically cut Spike open and see how humans operate. And Beachcomber gets a little startled here when he is told this is all Shockwave's plan, and that Shockwave plans to harvest Earth completely and suck it dry of all of its resources. Which then we shift to Shockwave and Soundwave talking, and this part is kind of crazy because Shockwave is talking to Soundwave, telling him that the Constructicons have repaired the portal to Cybertron, and sees Soundwave is trying to bring Ravage back online, and Shockwave immediately snatches Ravage's corpse out of Soundwave's hands, telling him to recycle Ravage and you could build stronger versions of his Recordicons. And right before Shockwave is going to dump Ravage into the trash, we see Shockwave is blinded by something, which he then tells Soundwave to follow him. And we find out Shockwave is starstruck by the ocean life and sees a big, huge whale. And honestly, this is pretty funny. Out of all the things he has struck, it's a whale. But we see on the next page that the feeder is prepped and ready, and Shockwave says good, which then we see the exact same whale in ocean life, sadly, that Shockwave was happy to see is now being sucked in and being used as fuel for the space bridge. And this is just sad, man. I mean, this just took a huge left turn, but I expect none less of Shockwave. Like, I don't know, like something like this is totally just like Shockwave's alley. Like, oh, cool, wildlife looks cool. Anyways, let's just use all of them for fuel. But we finally get to see more Optimus and Elita, as in the next page we are at the dam. We saw back, I think, issue 4, where Sparky, Wheeljack, and Ratchet built this generator that can repair other Autobots. And we see RC greet Elita 1 and Optimus, and as well as Ultra Magnus. So now it's officially confirmed our city commander is still alive, and this has me hyped, man, because I love Ultra Magnus, man. But we see a nice little reunion of these two, and we see Optimus break the bad news to Wheeljack that Ratchet did not make it back. And as Optimus goes to comfort Wheeljack, Wheeljack just kind of walks away and says that he needs a moment to grieve, and that's what he ends up doing, grieving for his friend. And I know I didn't really talk about it much in terms of the last video, but I do feel like Ratchet's death was kind of pointless. Like, it just didn't really feel like any of the shock factor. So, I mean, it is cool that we do see some character development with like Wheeljack and Optimus when it comes to Ratchet's death, but I don't know, man, it kind of felt like a wasted death. But we pick back up on the Moonbase bros, who unfortunately are not doing too well as they can barely see and function. And then we see Shockwave enter the room as he starts to taunt Autobots, telling Cliffjumper and the Goat Jazz that at least Decepticons don't lead their soldiers to their enemy for their collections. To which then we see Soundwave and Thundercracker leaving the room as Shockwave begins to torture the Moonbase bros. And man, I hope they make it through, but I have a feeling that one of these guys are not going to make it, which sucks, man, because I love these two as a duo. Anyways, we see Soundwave asking to speak to Thundercracker in private. which then we see Onslaught talking to Brawl, which is wild to me that this dude is still alive after getting his lower body chopped off last issue from the space bridge collapsing. But we see Onslaught listening to Soundwave and Thundercracker's private discussion. And once again, we see Thundercracker showing sympathy. But this time, it's for the Moonbase Bros, saying that they are prisoners of war and what Shockwave is doing isn't honorable. And Soundwave basically tells him that, yes, Shockwave's tactics are brutal, but we need someone like Shockwave. Shockwave is a major need, and if they want to play their cards right, when it comes to world domination, they need Shockwave. And when Thundercracker asks, when can they start to go back and save Skywarp, Soundwave shoots it down immediately. It reminds Thundercracker that he is a soldier of the Decepticon army and that his life belongs to Soundwave. And it's best for Thundercracker to not forget that. So although the Decepticon side of things, they are winning right now in terms of like the war, some people are still on edge, and we have Soundwave with him being on edge due to him being the new leader, and as well as Thundercracker wanting to save Skywarp, which is a really cool dynamic with these guys. Again, they're evil, but like depth. It's really cool. But we pick back up on the Autobot side of things, and we see Optimus and Elita having a very deep back and forth discussion. And Elita mentions how what they have done to Magnus means he will do the same to Jazz and Cliff. And Optimus suggests that they should go and save them. Elita mentions how it won't be easy, and how it took an eternity to save Magnus, and although yes, she did save Magnus, many Autobots died along the way. She tells Optimus that they needed him, and when Optimus tells her that he was trapped on Earth, Elita tells Optimus that no, they needed him back before he left, before he decided to leave Cybertron, and that now Cybertron is nothing but ruled by the Decepticons, and they are losing Autobots one by one. And I mean, Elita makes a good point here, but I do agree with Optimus as he had no other choice. They were losing the war bad, and I mean like very bad. We learned that in Void Rivals that basically the Autobots never really had a winning chance. And for Optimus to leave, although yes, it was kind of risky, for him to leave and go and explore to other planets to find more Energon and kind of take Cybertron back with a tactical retreat, I do think it was the right decision, but I do see where Elita's coming from, because while Optimus is gone, when he's the leader of the Autobots, all the Autobots that stayed to defend Cybertron and Iacon, they're just losing the war even more because they're down men, they don't have Energon, they don't have the resources. It's really tough. I would love to know you guys' thoughts. Are you guys Team Elita or Team Optimus? Let me know down below. But we pick up on the next page where Soundwave says, "My brothers, it is time." And Shockwave is completely hyped here, like he's like all giddy, as he mentions that gathering all the planet has to offer with such small tech as this world would take only a century, and that Cybertron is on the brink of devastation. And as he starts to activate the space bridge again, he says, "Our planet reeks with thirst," and we see Cybertron being ported to Earth's orbit, and we see Beachcomber and Spike see Cybertron as Shockwave says, "Let the harvest begin." And that's how this issue ends. And man, what a great issue, and what a great reference. I mean, at this point, having the space bridge be used to transport Cybertron to Earth's orbit is one of the staples of the Transformers mythos. It makes sense since Volume 2, which is what we are currently on, is called Transport to Oblivion, which was also the episode name for G1 and the first time we ever saw the space bridge in Transformers before. And man, we are just on a hot streak with these comics. I would love to know your guys' thoughts on this issue. What do you guys think is going to happen next? I really hope the Moonbase Bros are okay. I hope Jazz and Cliffjumper are all right. I also hope we get to see Ultra Magnus fully repaired, because if they have someone like Ultra Magnus, Elita 1, Optimus leading this sort of comeback siege to the space bridge, I mean, I'm a little biased here because I like Ultra Magnus, but I think they have a real fighting chance. But I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. I will see you guys in the next one. Later.